Thank you, Madam Toastmaster. 2 days ago, the Labor Department of our government came out with an announcement of the inflation rate. And that inflation rate for the period October 2020 to 21 was 6.2%, which, as it turns out, is the highest rates that we've had since 1990. 2 days prior to that, Federal Reserve Vice Chairman Richard Clarida said that inflation this year has been far higher than the Fed expected. And I'm thinking, no kidding. October alone, for example, the inflation rate was 0.9%. And if you translate that to an annual rate, that's 9.6%, which would make it the highest rate since the late 1970s. And Senator Joe Manchin of West Virginia said recently, from the grocery store to the gas pump, Americans know inflation tax is real. So my question is, have prices gone up for you? Is your income compensating? Or are you going gobble, gobble, gobble every time you see the bells come in? So I did a bunch of research to try to find out what maybe some of the cause was of all of this inflation going on through various reliable news articles and magazines and so forth. And I came up with 3 areas that I would talk a little bit about today. And the first area is what I would say is a living wage. Now, we all know that people in the hospitality industry really don't make enough to get by. And anything we can do to help them through this, perhaps a better income and so forth, can be provided, then perhaps we ought to do this. And so the other day in Marina, I was driving by Burger King, and there was a sign outside that said, now hiring, minimum compensation, $15 an hour. And I'm thinking, oh my gosh, wow, that's higher than I've been used to seeing. That's kind of amazing. So I kept up the street, up Reservation Road, and then Taco Bell had a sign out, and it said $16 an hour for team members. And if you want to be a shift leader, $18 an hour. And we're hiring now. Now, $18 an hour, that translates to $36,000 a year full time. So I'm thinking, well, okay, this is good. I'm really happy to see this. But how are they going to pay for it? So I went back and I went into Burger King and I found out that the $4.95 Whopper that I used to buy now cost $8.29. And Taco Bell, the 99-cent taco that I used to buy is now $1.69, and so forth and so on. So guess what? You're paying for the increase. So it's a zero-sum game. And that's kind of the way it seems to work with inflation. The second area I want to talk a little bit about is the supply chain issue, which is a good part of the inflation problem that we're having now. Now, largely this has been attributed to the pandemic and the cutbacks and people stopping production of things and now trying to start them back up as the market comes back. And the problem has been there's things are not in the pipeline. If I wanted to buy a new freezer today, I understand from the news this morning it would take me 6 months before I could get one. That's not very good. So these are issues that need to be looked at. Right now, yesterday I read that 500,000 shipping containers are stranded off the coast of Southern California at this very time. And the ports down there are operating only at a 60 to 70% capacity. At the port of Long Beach, for example, one of the articles that I read indicated that if you go down there, you find out there's not a lot of activity. And why is that? Well, for starters, there's not enough workers. And this has been a problem. And so the government has put out an edict saying that we want the port of Long Beach to operate on a 24/7 basis rather than just during normal business hours. The problem with that, of course, is there's not enough workers to pull that off. And then the workers that are down there, I understand that they weren't too happy with the idea. So that's first. But let's assume that you have enough people to unload the ships or the containers. They need to go somewhere. And you look around the Long Beach port, and containers are stacked too high, or were stacked too high. And the question is why don't they stack them higher? Well, it turns out the City Council of Long Beach passed a law a while back prohibiting containers from being stacked any higher than too high, so it wouldn't ruin the view of the port. Well, I'm happy to say that the City Council has reversed that and realizing what the problem that was causing. So, okay, so now perhaps we can get more containers into the shipyard. And then what? You still got to get them. You've got to get them on trucks, trains, whatever, and get them to wherever it is they need to go. Well, what's the next problem? Well, there's not enough trucks. Why are there not enough trucks? Part of it was because the shipping companies largely hired independent truckers to carry their goods to wherever they were going to go. And because of legislation and laws that have come around, like California's AB5, for example, the possibility of having a lot of independent drivers has gone away. So you've got all these issues that have to be dealt with. Some of them are of our own making, and some of them we just need to adjust to. So again, supply and demand. When you don't have the supply and the demand is high, prices are going to go up, and it's a zero-sum game. The third area that I wish to address is the impact of government. Now, when I say that, both parties over the years have been overspending significantly, and this indeed is a bit of a problem. Now, right now we have two major bills in progress in the process of being decided by Congress, which are going to cost a lot of money. And the people that are in charge of getting these bills passed are telling us that they're paid for. Now, I've seen this movie before, so if you believe that, I have a bridge in Brooklyn that I'd like to show you. So let's just say that it is paid for. And how is it being paid for? Well, taxes, and taxes are going to be applied to nobody that earns less than $400,000 a year. So we're told. Instead, they focus on the corporations. Well, what do corporations do? They make things. They make things for us. And what do we do with those things? We buy them. So if the corporations are going to pay more taxes, they too need to get the money from somewhere. And what better way to do that than to raise the price of whatever it is we buy, which suddenly becomes an inflation tax to the people under making under $400,000 a year. So it's a zero-sum game. I don't have the solution, so I'm not even going to try to recommend any here today. I just want everybody to understand that inflation is a zero-sum game. It feeds on itself. Madam Toastmaster.